Elon Musk describes himself as a free speech absolutist. But according to new analysis from the Washington Post, the site formerly known as Twitter, now known as X, has been slowing down traffic to websites its CEO, Mr. Musk, dislikes, including the New York Times and Facebook. The Post reports by Tuesday afternoon, after their story was published, X started to reverse the slowdown on some of those sites, dropping the delay times back to 0. Curious. So let's discuss. NBC News tech correspondent Jacob Ward is here. He wrote the book, The Loop, How Technology is Creating a World Without Choices and How to Fight Back. Jake, I had to have you on to discuss this. Elon Musk says he is all about free speech, but it turns out he's all about free speech when it's nice to him and about him. He's more like a free speech occasionalist.
It really is true, Steph, where we have come so far from the early days when he first walked into Twitter and said that he was going to make that place, a bastion of saying whatever you want, talking about replatforming the president because, there shouldn't be any kind of special standards, all of that stuff. And here we are. We're finding that that is absolutely relative to his personal preferences, according to the Washington Post, as you mentioned. As of Tuesday, all sorts of T.co links, those are the links that you go through when you click out of Twitter, were getting throttled for about 5 seconds, which, as you know, is an unbearable amount of time. And that was for links at the New York Times. That was also for some of these rival platforms that have come up, like Blue Sky, that was supposed to be the sort of friendlier alternative to Twitter. So it turns out that it is not just a matter of delivering things as fast as possible to users, the way that everybody else tries to in that industry. It seems to have been that that this platform, X, whatever we're calling it now, really was trying to make it unbearable to go to the sites that Elon doesn't like.
Could this new reporting hurt their business even more, right? What's their biggest problem? Making money, advertisers. And the Post points out that companies spend millions and millions of dollars to make sure that their sites open as quickly as possible. Now that we learn that Elon puts his finger on the scale or puts some sites at the back of the bus, what impact could this have?
Well, I mean, it's absolutely the case, right, that your site lives and dies by lag, by latency, by how much time it takes for that thing to load. Load times, whole teams, thousands of engineers are devoted to that particular function at some of the biggest sites in the world, because that is the difference between someone sticking around and doing the thing you want them to and going somewhere else. And so the fact that he may have done this simply out of spite, I mean, obviously we have no idea why he would have done this, but the fact that it is absolutely ones that he has spoken his displeasure about in the past makes a huge difference, because if you wind up being, the kind of advertiser who says, I'm going to want to go back onto this platform, and, former NBC Universal head of ad sales, Linda Yaccarino, is now challenged with trying to explain to these people, oh, no, you can relax. We have it under control, and this is a place that you can really rely on for your brand to live on. I don't know how she's going to make that case, considering that this guy may be throttling some of the biggest and most popular sites in the world, Steph.
All right, we just spoke about it in our last segment, but I have got to ask you a different kind of slow walking. Twitter slow walking, delaying, refusing to comply with a search warrant from Jack Smith earlier this year until they were forced to, a search warrant for content in Donald Trump's Twitter account. You cover this guy every day. What do you think?
Well, I think it's so fascinating for so many reasons. I mean, first of all, I think that the opportunity that you have to not only look at, which devices were posting on his account, which of course means you can establish a pattern of who the group is there, but the fact that also there are direct messages and tweets that may have never been sent, were only considered and then deleted. I mean, you suddenly, as a prosecutor, have all sorts of things about, if you're really going after RICO statute, offenses there, then you can really establish this pattern of mindset. And I mean, it is one of those things where I've always been a little bit nervous about sending DMs on Twitter. I've tried to get off it as much as I possibly can. Oh man, does this feel like a lesson for all of us about where you do your communications. And then this question of, does Elon Musk seem to be sort of cozying up to the former president the way that the judge suggested? I mean, I have to say, right, if you have depended on this kind of, meme lord, edge lord, slightly alt-right kind of environment to make yourself popular, which is those are the folks that he is most popular with. I mean, it definitely goes with the MO that he has tried to push on Twitter, and just feels like, in answer to the judge's question, is he trying to cozy up? Those of us who've been watching Musk for a long time, it certainly feels like the answer is probably yes there.
For those of us who are watching Musk, but what is Musk saying, or Musk's camp, those allies, those homeboys who are always around him, kind of speaking on his behalf? How are they rationalizing or explaining this?
Well, undoubtedly they would say, they're saying a couple of things, right? First of all, like, it's the former president of the United States. He does deserve some special consideration. And they would also, undoubtedly fall back on the thing that everybody talks about, which is that you need to protect your users, especially your most popular users, from subpoenas from the courts, that, you need to sort of hold them at bay as much as you can. It turns out in this case, Twitter, to the tune of $350,000, lost their fight to do so and was called all sorts of names by this judge. But it's very much in keeping with this idea of, we are a kingdom unto ourselves. We've got to keep everybody at bay as much as we possibly can. But it's weird with an organization that at the same time has capitulated to all sorts of censorship, demands from abroad. This is not, again, talking to this thing about free speech absolutists, the relativism of all of this is very, very stark here, Steph.
Yes, you could make the case that we're talking about a former president of the United States who deserves special consideration. But the other side of that coin is you're talking about the Department of Justice and a subpoena. That might deserve some special consideration as well.